All right, so I'm going to do a longer video this time. I want to talk about what it was like competing for the World Karate and Kickboxing Union, how things were different than some of the promotions I've competed with in the States. So I want to talk about, I have my little note card here so I don't forget things. What I was talking about, working with Team USA, training together when we were in Germany, what the tryouts were like, the process of competing, sort of like what the mats were like, how the scheduling structure was like, what went to like preparation for both the fight and the forms and sort of what judging is like. So if you've never gone to a competition like that before, here's kind of a quick rundown of what I went through, what I experienced, and my thoughts on things. So starting from the top, meeting Team USA. So we had tryouts. There were tryouts that happened across the United States. I went and did my tryouts in Kentucky. It's a blend of forms demonstration, some sparring to kind of see where you're at there, movement exercises, and like how you work with just other members and people on the team. Once trials is done, there's a big group that we're a part of sort of online, but because we're scattered across the states, obviously we can't just come together and train together because we all have lives and careers and families and things like that. So communication becomes like kind of sparse after tryouts leading up to, depending on how much you want to communicate with the team. But then everybody flies in, so we get our itinerary. We know where we're going, what hotel we're staying in, all that's sort of prepared for us to get there. So then we get over there, and then we all meet up at a designated time at the arena. So Team USA has a meeting time. We meet together, we break up into our groups, and we start training together. So people that are doing forms are working on each other with they're doing forms. People that are doing sparring are working together and doing like sparring drills and practicing that. So we're sort of getting geared up and getting ready and do this like a real light meet and greet. There are about 80 people on the team. I probably didn't even meet most of them. Kind of like I found like my pocket and we kind of just stayed together the whole time. So after we had our like hour or two of training together, we found our pockets. We kind of dispersed, went back to the hotel. You go through the opening ceremony, and sort of how. So I had to weigh in because I did a kickboxing fight. And so normally the process is when I'm dealing with fighters and we're doing promotions like MMA promotions, it's one fight, right? So I'm getting a fighter ready for one fight. They have to weigh in. So let's say I have a person fighting at 175. So their opponent is weighing in at 175. There's usually like a 2 pound allowance here and there. The way it's structured, because there's so many competitors, is you're under different weight categories. So anybody who's under 80 kilograms can fight here. Anybody who's under 75 kilograms can fight here. So anybody under that weight can be in that division. But normally it's people like really close to that top end weight. So weight in, fight at under 80. And then so the day comes and they give you a schedule and we're there from the arena from about 8 a.m. to 9 or 10 p.m. at night, depending on what you're doing. But like like the rings and mats are going that long. So kind of give you a layout. There's puzzle piece mats, and I'll throw up a picture. So it's ground mat, ground mat, ground mat, ground mat. So there are 4 mats on the ground, 2 rings in the middle, and then 4 mats over here. And on the mats, what are happening are forms demonstrations, weapons demonstrations, point fighting, and kick light. And in the rings are K1 kickboxing and full contact divisions. So all that's happening at the same time. So kudos to this organization for like running multiple days. 40 countries are there, running us through this gambit of like rapid fire testing. So what happens is there's an app that you get that they use. So on the app, it shows you your schedule, shows you when you're competing. That's definitely going to change a bunch of times. Probably the most stressful part about the whole thing was like really knowing when you're going to compete. There are some people that told they were going to compete on one day, had to compete on a different day. There are some times where it's like, hey, the app is saying you're competing in an hour, so you have a breather, but then somebody tracks you down and say, hey, you got 10 minutes to be over here at mat 7 while you're waiting on mat 2. So all that is happening, and a lot of that comes down to like just how quickly things are moving and where people are at. But they're coordinating like 2,000 competitors. So there's some stress to have there, especially when like for finals that are happening. But when you get your time and you go to your mat, typically there are 5 judges that are surrounding the mat. You're all in a line. You walk out, you bow, you introduce yourself, you perform your forms demonstration. After everybody performs their forms demonstration, the judges have cards. Everybody is ranked from 9.1 or 9.0 to 9.9. And by rank, so you don't get necessarily like a score. You yes and no. So when they're going through it, the person that you think is 9.9, you give that 9.9 to. Nobody else in your scorecard gets that 9.9. So you're ranking them. People get a score, but you're ranking everybody from best to worst. So you have, okay, my first place person is 9.9. My second place is 9.8. And then once you get past that 9, 8, 7, 6, and 5, once there's like the 9.2s to 4s, like everybody just gets a 9.4 or 9.3 or 9.2 because all that really matters are those top 3 places because that's your bronze, silver, and your gold. So outside of that range, everybody's getting 9.4s and 9.3s and it doesn't really matter too much. But they wait at the end, so then everybody does their form. You're in this line. They have you step out one at a time. They each reveal your score, call it out, add those numbers together. Highest number gets gold, second highest gets silver, then bronze. How the process works is once they get that top 3, and it's like once the top 3 gets announced and you're still waiting and like standing there and you have to stand up and like get your 9.4. It's like, why do I have to be here? Because I'm just getting a 9.4 anyway. But once those 3 get announced, the bronze, silver, and the gold, the person who got bronze has bronze. The person who got silver and gold, so you get first and second place. They compete again head to head against each other for another scoring round. So that's semifinals that establishes first, second, and third place. Third place gets locked in at bronze. First and second place compete again at the finals to determine who gets silver and gold. And there's no point value there. It's just this person gets it. So the judges just point to who they vote for the highest one. And it's an odd number of judges, so whoever gets the most votes is the gold medalist. So that's kind of how that process works. So it's a cool little thing of like maybe you got first place in preliminaries or semifinals, but like now you're battling again. You can do the same form. Maybe you're going to do a different form. So it kind of keeps things lively there. So moving on from that, I placed bronze in my division for Kung Fu, which is funny because I competed twice. So I competed in 18 to 34 division, and I'm 36, and there's 35 and plus traditional. So I do Kung Fu. There is no 35 and up specifically Kung Fu division. So I could only compete Kung Fu with 18 to 34. That's where I got the bronze. 35 and up did not place. So moving on from that, talked about the mats, talked about the scheduling, because it's like there's a lot of people going. It's 4 days long. It's really chaotic sometimes the schedule is. So you have to be there, right, and just keep your eye on things, and hopefully the team gets there appropriately. As I went in for like the kickboxing fight, waiting for my time. The thing that was like the most different for me was when I'm getting like a fighter ready here. There's like blood work involved. Sometimes there's drug testing involved to get them to compete. When I competed there, we didn't do any blood testing, any drug testing. I showed up with a doctor's note that said I'm healthy enough to fight, and then I got put on the fight card. So I thought that was an interesting sort of separation there, because like the blood work is a really big deal when we're for MMA on the side of things. For the wraps, so when I'm having fighters compete as well, when we do wraps, when we wrap their hands, we have to have an official check them off to make sure they're wrapped appropriately, and then you go in there. So we use like gauze and tape for the hand wraps. For the competition there, you could use a cloth wrap, just like a regular hand wrap. I don't think I have any around here, but I'll show you. So we had cloth wraps, headgear, shin guards, mouthpiece, of course. There's some moments of like you can use your own headgear, but then they wanted you to use their headgear. You use their own gloves, obviously, to be safe. There's also there's no Vaseline either, which I thought was different than what I'm used to. So that's kind of how that went. I did compete in mine, didn't win my fight for the gold medal, but it was still a great experience. So I actually ended up competing in kickboxing first. I took a spinning side kick to my rib and then a knee strike, so a partial cracked rib. But then, so that happened, and that same day, like 3 hours later, I had to do a kung fu. That was all my kung fu competitions. So I went to the doctor. I got my rib taped up to hold together well enough so I could do some of the movements. And then I competed in both my kung fu divisions, and that's when I got the bronze. And then I felt awful afterwards because my rib was crying, and I was happy that I could just relax after that. So I think one of the biggest parts of the thing was kind of being with the team. So we're all kind of strangers with each other, but we're there sort of supporting each other compete at ringside. You can help people work through some things, warm up for things. People were really helpful for me for like warming up for both of my competitions, holding mitts, talking about routines. It was great to be able to help people in their path and their journey too. And there's a lot of point fighting, and to see the camaraderie there was really nice. So like meeting lots of new martial artists that are of a high caliber, and sort of like seeing the camaraderie and the unity that happened there. Obviously, it's going to be hit or miss because we're a bunch of people that don't know each other. So there's going to be like pockets that are happening. But if you are like mildly extroverted, I think you'll fall into a pocket pretty well. Dr. Ribs time. Oh, the medal ceremony was interesting because it was also pretty rapid pace because so many things are happening all the time. How the medal system worked is there was a corner, and so they had a printer, and they had a backdrop set up, and there's a bunch of medals on a table. They had a giant projector. They would show the list of people that had gold, silver, and bronze for a division. Call it over the intercom, like, "Hey, you guys need to get over here so we can take your picture and get your medals." So then it's kind of becomes this like amalgamation of once you can gather together, because it's people that have competed hours before, maybe the day before, that are looking to get their medal. So it's like once you compete and you get your medal, find your way over there, and then gather together the people that are like the other people that competed and medaled, so you can take your photo and get your certificate and get out of there. So it was like this rolling thing that was happening in this corner as there are still competitions going on. But in a nutshell, that's kind of how it was. It was a great experience. I'm super excited that I did it, and super thankful for the people that sponsored me to go on the trip. Won the silver, won the bronze, but that's kind of some of the things I saw that were different than what I'm used to, and some of the things that were interesting about being a part of a tournament that was that big. I'll go into some more details probably pretty soon with it as well about some nitty gritty stuff. And if there's any questions, feel free to ask me any questions about what it was like, or if you've never done a competition like that before, sort of what to expect. The questions are going to help me answer things better than just rambling and not knowing what else is important to know about. But yeah, that's it for right now.